Alright everyone, Simon here. We are playing Assassin's Creed Revelations and we are looking at Galata Tower. And we have a beautiful sunset in the background. So I believe the next mission, the next book mission, Sophia Memory Mission, will allow us to go inside Galata Tower. I don't know how accurate the interior is going to be in game. But since we're here and since we're at the building, let's look at the history and the interesting information about the building, if there is any. So, the in-game database locations. What are we looking for? Constantinople. Filter all. Can I filter for churches, aqueducts? That's not useful. Is it? See, the problem is it's not even in alphabetical order. Alright, so what's going on here? Not those, not those. Hagia Sophia. Here we go, Galata Tower. Built by Genoese settlers in 1348 as an expansion of their colony on the north shore of the city. Galata Tower was the key component to a larger defensive structure, most of which have been dismantled by the time of the Ottomans. Genoese settlers built an extension of the colony in the north shore. Oh, interesting. In the 17th century, the tower is purported to have served as the launch point for one of the earliest sustained unpowered attempts at human flight. According to reports from a traveling historian, a man named Hursafan Ahmed Chelebi strapped himself to a homemade glider one fine day in 1632 and threw himself off the tower's cornice. According to this one and the only eyewitness, Herzafan's flight took him over Galata and across the Bosphorus waterway, where he landed safely on the shores of the Asian continent. Awed by his apparently supernatural abilities, the Sultan Murad paid Herzafan a fat bag of gold coins, then banished him to Algeria, where he died some years later. Later in the 18th century, the Ottomans began using the tower to spot fires in and around the city, but by the late 20th century, the only fires of any concern to visitors of Galata Tower were those burning up the floor of the nightclub built at the tower's apex. Really? They built a nightclub in the historic tower? A dinner and dancing for a modest price high above the world, a far cry from the rather S-T-A-I-D, how do you pronounce that? Staid impulses of the Middle Ages. Okay, so it used to be part of a bigger fortress. And we can see there's like a wall here. So there's a giant tower there. There's a wall here. And the wall kind of goes along there and it disappears. And then the actual city walls are next to them there, which is a little bit strange. So this used to be an old Genoese fortress of some sort. Alright, well let's go to our friend Google and turn off caps lock and see what this tells us about Galata Tower. So there it is in real life. Let's look at some images. It's pretty much exactly how it is in the game. It doesn't seem quite as tall though, does it? I mean, look at... Is it too tall in the game? Or maybe it's too thin in the game. Like, do you feel like it's a bit stumpier in real life than it is in game? It's like that in real life, right? And it's a tourist attraction. And from Galata Tower to Hagia Sophia. Alright. Is it... stop doing that. Yeah, I feel like it's too tall in the game. It is possible that, modern buildings are taller than the ones in game, and so in comparison, the one in the tower in the game looks shorter. It's probably that. Actually, the proportions are kind of... No, it's stumpier. It is a bit stumpier, I feel like. I don't know. Alright, so Wikipedia. What does it say? This article is about the currently standing Galata Tower built by the Genoese in 1348. For the Megalos Pyrgos, Great Tower built by the Byzantines at a nearby but different location, closer to the sea, and destroyed during the sack of Constantinople by the Latin Crusaders. See Galata Tower Old. Alright, so there's a different tower that is in a slightly different position. Actually, this is interesting. There's a map of Istanbul here. Someone copied this out of... Wait a minute. OpenStreetMap data, alright, so it's open source. So that's Istanbul there. And then that's not very useful, to be honest, that map. Alright, so the Galata Tower, called Christia Turris, the Tower of Christ in Latin, by the Genoese, is a medieval stone tower in the Galata Karaköy quarter. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know how you pronounce it. Quarter of Istanbul, Turkey, just to the north of the Golden Horn's junction with the Bosphorus. One of the city's most striking landmarks, it is a high cone-shaped or cone-capped cylinder that dominates the skyline and offers a panoramic vista of Istanbul's historic peninsula and its environs. The 9-story tower is 66.9 meters tall and was the city's tallest structure when it was built. The elevation at ground level is 35 meters above sea level. The tower has an external diameter of 16.45 meters at the base and not 8.95 meters diameter inside, and walls that are 3.75 meters thick. Let's keep these dimensions in mind. I'll have a look at that later on. There's a restaurant and cafe on its upper floors which command a magnificent view of Istanbul and the Bosphorus. Also located, Bosphorus, by the way, is the is that there? Actually no, Istanbul. Bosphorus Strait is that there, my bad. Bosphorus Strait is the piece of water between Asia on one side and Europe on the other. Also located on the upper floors is a nightclub which hosts a Turkish show. There are 2 operating elevators that carry visitors from the lower levels to the upper levels. Cool. The Romanesque tower was built as Christia Turris, Tower of Christ, in 1348 during an expansion of the Genoese colony in Constantinople. So Genoa was another seafaring republic, kind of like Venice. So they were also traders in the Mediterranean. So, they would have colonies around the Mediterranean, right? Because they have harbors and trading ports and all that. Anyway, Galata Tower was the tallest building in Istanbul at 66.9 meters when it was built in 1348. It was built to replace the old Tower of Galata, an original Byzantine tower named Megalos Pyrgos, which controlled the northern end of the massive sea chain that closed the entrance to the Golden Horn. So that's the Golden Horn, and then the sea chain goes across that bit of water there, so then it closes off the harbor to ships when necessary. That tower was on a different site and was largely destroyed in 1203 during the Fourth Crusade. The upper section of the tower with the conical cap was slightly modified in several restorations during the Ottoman period, when it was used as an observation tower for spotting fires. According to the Seyahatname, I think that's how you pronounce it, of Ottoman historian and traveller Evliya Çelebi in circa 1630 to 1632, Percival Ahmed Çelebi flew as an early intercontinental aviator, using artificial wings for gliding from his tower over the Bosphorus to the slopes of Uskundur. I can't do Turkish, guys. I don't know how to pronounce these words. On the Anatolian side, nearly 6 kilometers away. Gliding for 6 kilometers. I don't know if that story is believable. Evliya Çelebi also tells of Hurzafan's brother, Ligari Hasan Çelebi, performing the first flight with a rocket in a conical cage filled with gunpowder in 1633. I don't know. I mean, okay, it's starting from 1717. The Ottomans began to use the tower for spotting fires in the city. By 1794, during the reign of Sultan Selim III, the roof of the tower made of lead and wood, and the stairs were severely damaged by a fire. Another fire damaged the building in 1831, upon which a new restoration work took place. In 1875, during a storm, the conical roof on the top of the building was destroyed. The tower remained without this conical roof for the rest of the Ottoman period. Many years later, during the restoration works between 1965 and 1967, the conical roof was reconstructed. During this final restoration in the 1960s, the wooden interior of the tower was replaced by a concrete structure, and it was commercialized and opened to the public. So that's actually pretty good. So the conical roof got burned down and then blown off, but then they rebuilt it in the same shape, I guess, and I guess they rebuilt it pretty much in the same way. That's kind of cool. They didn't change it or anything. They just kind of rebuilt it. From the top of the tower, the first French panorama painter Pierre Prévost, is that the French? I don't know. Drew in his 1818 his Panorama de Constantinople, which was later exhibited in Paris in 1825. The panorama image shown below is composed of 10 photos, taken from the Galata Tower by the photographic firm of Sefa and Joaillier, and it's most likely to have been taken in the 1880s. This one here. 10 photographs. Let's have a look at that if we can. How big is this? Oh, it's massive. Awesome. That's interesting actually. Let me keep this open. So there's the Hagia Sophia in the distance. You can see that there. There's a bridge over the harbor there. I say this is interesting because look at the scale of the buildings. And look at how many buildings there are compared to what we have in the game. And you can get an idea of just how much they've scaled down the city for the game. Like you look across there, it's just like a carpet of buildings, right? It's a carpet of buildings across the landscape with a few giant mosques in the middle of it. That's interesting. Let's keep that open. I want to keep that open. Is there anything else for us to read? No, that's about it. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so let's go back to the size. It is 16.45 meters at the base. We can measure that. I don't think I can do an accurate measurement of the height in the game just because I don't have any instruments to do that with. But let's see if the 16.45 meters at the base is accurate. I doubt it, but we'll have a look. So almost 16 and a half, 16 and a half meters. What are you doing, bro? Get off. Alright. 16 and a half meters in diameter. What is the best way to measure this thing? Against the wall, I guess? Alright, so if we kind of...
If you don't like it, you'll have to face the Pasha of Punches. This is my patch, and I'll take on anyone who does not like it.
Alright, so from there, let's say we line up with... Actually, there's the building. This is like perpendicular to the building, kind of. Perpendicular to the building, it's from about there. Let's say from the start of these steps to... Where's the other end of this? So there, perpendicular to the building, can't really see, to about here. Alright, let's say it's about from the stairs to this door here. Now we need a body, hopefully. Well, actually that guy wants to fight, doesn't he? Hey bro. Wait, I need your body. Can I? No, I can't get his body, damn it. Well, we punched him up, but didn't get his body. So we need... Okay, what's about 2 meters? I'm 1.7, I assume we're 1.7. So, from my feet to about the lamp is 2 meters. Let me just use my fingers. 2, 4, 6, 8. The stairs is about 8 meters wide. And then another one, 16. Huh. It's actually the right size. I think the diameter is actually the right size. Which might actually explain why it looks bigger in the game than it does in real life. it's not that the tower is too big in the game. It's that all the other buildings are too small in the game. So of all the things to have at the correct scale, the game actually has Galata Tower at the right scale. That's interesting. That is fascinating. Actually, now that we've figured out that it's about 16.5 meters wide at the base, maybe we can use that to measure how tall it is. I wonder if that's going to work. Let's come up here. Let's just get rid of any guards. Where's... I see a yellow dot. Oh, there he is. Get rid of him. Okay, so let's say that's 16.5. So 16, like 32, and then maybe about 48, and then 64. I don't know. It's kind of this perspective. It's in perspective. It's kind of hard to estimate. 64. How tall is it supposed to be? 66.9. No, it's about right. It's actually no. It's about the right height. If it's 67 meters tall, yeah, it's actually correct. It's the correct size. That is so funny. The tower is the right size in the game. It's all the other buildings in the city that are too small. That's interesting. Alright, well let's go and do this quest and see if we can actually go inside the tower. Apparently the walls are like 3 meters thick, so the inside of the tower is only 9 meters in diameter, which isn't very much space for a quest. What's another thing? Oh, that's right, when we get to the top, let's go and look at the panorama and see if we can learn something from this as well. Oops. Yeah, I mean, I have complained quite a bit about how unfortunate it is that a lot of these landmarks have been rescaled, or kind of the proportions have changed when they've been added to the game. You know, now that we see one that is actually full size, but, you know, put in a city that is too small, that looks weird too. I mean, if you scale down the entire city, I guess it would be logical that you would have to scale down the landmarks as well, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so here we are at the top of the building, and there's one mosque and there's the other. Just look at the size of the buildings, if you can. I don't know if you can see it very clearly. The size of the buildings. Oh, don't jump off. Do not jump off the tower. And then look at that. Yeah, like if you look at the size of the buildings on the other side, I'm looking at on the other side of the water. So across the bridge, I look at the size of the buildings there, look at the windows, and look at the blocks, and I kind of try to approximate, or kind of trying to remember how big these kind of buildings are, and then look at them in game, and how big they are in game. It kind of looks like. It kind of looks like, you know, the buildings, like the texture of the city in game is like twice as big as it is in the photo. Does it seem that way to you? I don't know if I'm kind of accurate or not. Maybe I'm not. But what I'm trying to say is that I think the actual size of the city should be twice as big as it is in game. Maybe? No, I probably shouldn't say that because it's too inaccurate. I'm making a really rough estimate based on what I see here. Although, having said all of that, they've actually done a pretty good job, because that looks pretty much exactly like what we see in game. Although look at the distance from the Hagia Sophia there to the other mosques there, right? And then compare that with that distance to... I don't even know what the other mosque is. Is it that one? Yeah, I think it's you can kind of see how the city in the game is scaled down a little bit. Like the buildings are, I mean, when I say the buildings are too big in the context of the city, it means that there are fewer buildings in the city, which means that the city area is smaller than it is in real life. I hope that makes sense. I hope you can kind of follow what I'm trying to say. Maybe it doesn't. And then, like, you know, if we come to this side of the tower and look this way, which is this way. Well, this is maybe not accurate, but you can kind of see how there's a whole lot of other buildings to the north of the city that we don't have in the game. Like the game, it ends kind of like here. Like the carpet of houses is a lot bigger in the photo than it is in the game. Although, you know, the photo is taken relatively recently, so it might not be accurate to the time of the game, right? And just kind of look here at the street pattern. Look how wide the streets are, how tall the buildings are, compared to what we have in the game. But again, these buildings are obviously more modern than the Renaissance buildings we have in the game. But like there should be like a carpet of houses in that direction as well, according to the photo. Yeah, and like this part should be much bigger, much more houses in that direction. But the view across the harbor towards the main city, or the Golden Horn is what it's called, it's a fairly good representation, I think. It's a fairly good recreation of that. I wish it was daytime, so we can see better. Although we don't see much better in daytime anymore. Alright, let's go into the tower and see what's going on in here. They fit a nightclub up here? It's not that big. Because it's only... Wait a minute, I thought the interior is only 9 meters wide. How do you have a 9 meter wide nightclub? I don't understand. A 9 meter wide restaurant? Really? How on earth would you manage that? Maybe we can go type in Galata Tower interior in Google image search, and then we can see what it looks like on the inside today. Hopefully we can. Here we go. So we have the timber interior. Well, there's a bit of stone actually. I don't know why there's stone railings. A clue left behind by the Polos has brought Ezio to Galata Tower. Investigate the tower, but be careful. Complete the level within 6 minutes. Well, we're definitely not doing that, because we're going to take it very slowly and look at the architecture while we're here. I will do the 6 minutes thing in my own time. Okay, so I mean, we're at the top, so I guess the interior walls will be thinner at the top. So if we get to the base of the tower, it should only be 9 meters from one side to the other. So how tall am I again? 1.7, 2 meters is about there. So from one pillar to the other here is about 2 meters, I think. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2, 4, 6, yeah, 12. So this is 12 from wall to wall. But we're at the top of the tower, so maybe at the bottom we'll have 9. I mean, if the bottom of the tower is only from here to here, then that's like about 8 meters or so, right? Then that would be accurate. Let's come here. Galata Tower interior? Wait a minute. Oh, okay, so the top of it is not 9 meters only, so there's the restaurant. Ah, damn, we can't do this, I've forgotten. This Google image search is glitchy in the Steam browser. That kind of sucks. There's only like 2 photos of the interior. There's a dome at the top. That's interesting. Let's go back a few steps and see if we can look up. That's a really crowded restaurant though. Look how close together those tables are. Alright, so there is a restaurant up at the top. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's not big. So there's the interior. Okay, you can see the interior drum. And it's not really that big. You can see the size of the people compared to the curvature of the walls. So yeah, this is about 9 or 10 meters. 9 meters on the interior. Yeah, you can see that. That's correct. There's Assassin's Creed. That's the game we're playing. There's the restaurant at the top, where there's a little bit more space. Alright, let's go back to the game. What happens? Is there a dome? No, not really. Oh, there is a dome. Is that a dome or a cone? No, that's the cone. They put a dome in the restaurant, but there's a cone in real life. And the restaurant is up here. I don't know, it's a bit small for a restaurant, but okay. Alright, I think that's pretty much everything we're gonna have to be able to see. So let's do this. And of course we break everything we touch. Why were there rocks? Oh, sliding. Well, the architecture tour has definitely ended because this is not real. There is not a giant hole underneath the tower. Ow, my face. Should I end the architecture tour or should I do this? Because this is something else entirely now. I think maybe I should end the architecture tour. Alright, I'm just gonna end the architecture tour. When we come back, we try and go through this in, 5 minutes or something? I'll see you guys in the next video.